the zombie apocalypse. Remember I told you that in like my, was it 15 random facts about me? No, it wasn't 15 random facts about me or something. It was getting to know you. There, I said to you that I had this preoccupation about zombie apocalypse, and I actually thought that it was really going to happen. And a lot of people have probably already heard about this. I heard about it on Facebook. One of my friends had read an American newspaper article, and it alerts you to newspaper articles that your friends have read online. I clicked on it and I read it, and I was quite kind of shocked and horrified. But taking aside the fact that it was like saying zombie apocalypse and starty zombies, you need to realise the fundamental thing at the end of the day is that two families have lost members, because there was one naked man who was the zombie or high on drugs, who had to be shot. I think it was about half a dozen times he was shot before he stopped eating this man's face. The man who was horrifically attacked as well seems to be being lost in all of the kind of hysteria and the zombie kind of thing. We really need to remember that was a person, and I feel quite sad about that there's now two people dead and everybody's just in this mass kind of, ooh, zombies, and kind of glamorising it. I do have my own conclusions about it, because I don't trust media, because I have been at sort of governmental events and things like that, and at protests and things, and I've seen how the news works and how they twist things and they misrepresent things, and quite often just blatantly lie about things and cover up different things left, right and centre, and really just don't trust it, because most of the time it is quite a lot of bullshit. Nowadays journalists seem to be nothing more than Grim and Anderson telling some fairy tales. If this man was high on drugs, I think that it was Nerd Zarel made the point that if he was high on drugs, then that is quite similar to like being a zombie, and if that could make you do those kind of things, like eat a man's face off, then that's really, really scary. That's scary that those kind of drugs are out there and stuff as well. And that the fact that the man had to be shot half a dozen times before he stopped is just a bit much, you know what I mean? It is still scary, irrespective of what it was, it is still scary, and that drugs could do that to you is actually putting him into a zombified state where he is unaware of his actions, extra super strong, and for some reason this man was craving human flesh. So that's pretty much a zombie to me, whether it was an actual zombie or just drug induced, because it's still the same thing. He was zombified, because a lot of people, you hear the expression being zombied when you're on drugs and stuff like that. So it's still scary, it's still I don't know, just freaky, not good for the people's families, not good for the people involved, etc. I really, really do think that the zombie apocalypse could come, and I'm not being stupid about it, because everybody say everything that ever happens in the history of the world, somebody said, oh, this will happen one day, and everybody else is like, oh, you're so stupid. It happens. People have gone to the moon, well, apparently, but people have gone to the moon. There's such thing as spaceships. Maybe they don't have little green men in them, but there's such thing as spaceships. There's rockets go into into the outer space. I completely lost what I was doing there. If you had said that to somebody like maybe, I don't know, 100 years ago, they would look at you like you were an idiot. There's advances in medical technology, advances in science and things like that are just absolutely mind-blowing. The fact that I can sit here and record this and somebody on the other side of the world can sit and watch it is astounding. The fact that I can have, even in my generation, being 30 and holding a BlackBerry and going, wow, I can be on Facebook when I'm in the forest, that blows my mind still. And I'm of the generation where I grew up gaming, I grew up with computer revolutions and things like that, and I'm still blown away by what a BlackBerry can do, and that I can have a tablet, my Android tablet, and my finger controls it. This is just kind of wow to me. And things like in medical science, like designer babies and test tube babies, prosthetic limbs that actually have like kind of work with your nerve endings and stuff like that. These things were stupid ideas at some point, where somebody thought, don't talk rubbish, but they are actual tangible things now, and artificial intelligence and stuff like that, and humanoid type robots built in Japan, and there's footage of them online if you care to go and have a look for them. And these things would have been thought absolutely horrifically crazy. You would have been out of your mind just sniffing something, or I don't know, licking a toad, for to have even thought of this stuff. Lost the ability to speak. It was the sun in the past few days. It's been frying my brain. But even like things like Mary Shelley's Frankenstein was written on the backlash of the advancement of medical science. It was a scary time that all these things were being discovered, and then it invoked a fear of how far mankind can take medical science and what they could do with dead body parts, because at this time in history, dead bodies were being used to learn everything, being chopped up and whipped open and teaching doctors all these fantastic things. But at the same time, it would be really scary, and the thought of reanimating a corpse was then taken and manifest into the book of Frankenstein. And like movies and things, just like Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, take into consideration maybe Terminator. Terminator come from the backlash of the 1980s, where a lot of jobs were then being taken over by robots and manual labour was no longer required, and a lot of people were being laid off in factories. So at the time it would feel like a technology kind of taken over, because a lot of things could be done more proficiently and easier and cheaper by a robot than it could be by human hand. So then there was the fear that robots were taking over. So then things like Terminator were then created from the backlash of that. But then where is all this zombie stuff coming from? There must be advancements. Not that I'm terribly up to date with like medical technology and medical advancements, I leave that to the doctors, but there has been for some time an obsession with zombies. There was a slight thing about zombies after people seen in like New Orleans in Africa and different places. It was quite a fear about voodoo and hoodoo, which are two different things and shouldn't be confused with each other. Things happening with zombies, because people were quite scared about religions that they didn't understand, as they are nowadays. But it was quite an exotic, weird thing then, and there was movies made about zombie witch doctors and stuff like that. And there's always been a kind of obsession, an underlying obsession with zombies, because there have been zombie movies and zombie books and zombie things going on for a long, long time, and you can look up things that have zombies in them from like the 1950s and stuff as well. Right now there's all these things, it's like zombie apocalypse books, zombie handbooks. The world is washed with zombie movies. There was zombie movies when I was growing up, there were zombie movies before then, but it seems to be more prevalent now. There's just everywhere is zombies. There's like 1,000,001 zombie games, and I know that like several different titles of zombie games have been around for a long, long time. I mean, I remember being in an arcade and playing like House of the Dead when I was a lot younger. But right now it seems to be, I don't know, more, and so many movies and takes on zombie apocalypses. There's The Walking Dead, the TV series right now as well, and before that, I don't know if you had it anywhere else in the world, but in the UK we had a small short TV series called Dead Set, which was what would happen in the zombie apocalypse if you were in the Big Brother house. Maybe it's a subliminal message from mass media trying to create hysteria, and they've done many times before. Maybe that's why it's in my head so much. Scary. And I really do think that with all the things that people are doing, mucking about in labs, and the scary rate of how human technology and medical advancement accelerate nowadays. Like, if you buy a mobile phone one week, by the next week it's obsolete because it's something else has surpassed it. So even if it's just like technology like that, think about what's happening with the technology behind the scenes, the stuff that they're using for governmental experiment. What have they got? What are they doing with it? I think that it's quite possible to reanimate a corpse. We all know that if you can hook up electrodes thing, like a car battery with clamps, if you hook that up to the right muscles in the right places, it moves them, because the human body is pretty much a robotic thing. If you can duct energy through it, it will move. I think that if somebody somewhere is killing off the right brain cells, other than what they do to mass public anyway through their, is it aspartame or aspartame, the artificial sweetener that they keep in Coca-Cola, that we all know is very bad for you, and it reduces your brain activity. Maybe I should stop drinking that crap then, since my brain seems to be going slow. We all know that things like that can be done, the reanimation of corpses and the manipulation of the brain's reactions. So somebody somewhere must already be able to do that with some sort of drug, like the guy took, maybe, that was on the news, because he obviously had accelerated rage, the need for the guy's flesh, and so the drug must have been shutting off parts of his brain and accelerating other parts, which then would cause somebody to be in the state of not so much a traditional zombie, but a kind of mass media zombie, but not so traditional kind of witch doctor reanimated kind of slave zombie. I do think that somebody somewhere must be able to do that, because even me just sitting here, and I know nothing about medical technology or medicine or the human body anywhere past in high school. That's as far as my medical knowledge goes. But even if I, with my simplistic view on it, can sit here and think, well, we know how to reanimate a corpse at some level already, even if it is just slight movement with electric conductors, and we can already kind of manipulate brain reaction and stimulate other parts of the brain, then somebody somewhere in some lab must already be able to do this, and it's only a matter of time before the drug that does it, the injection that does it, the animal that's infected with it, the person that's infected with it, kind of mass infect. So I do think it's scary. Maybe I'm just rambling, maybe my head just goes off on tangents and stuff. This is what I think. I really do think that somebody somewhere must know how to do this, has probably buggered about with it, and it frightens the living crap out of me. And then when things like this are reported on the news, even like I said, even if he was just high and out of his mind on drugs, then that has still put him into that state, which is not good. But I would expect that taking somebody's life would be a traumatic event as well. So you have to think about the police officer that had to fire those shots and kill that man, but he witnessed this other man being, for all intents and purposes, eaten. That's got to mess with a person's head. I don't care how many years you've been on the force, I don't care how many different things you've seen. There's some really horrific, nasty things that a police officer must see. That's not an everyday occurrence. I mean, he got to go home to his family and maybe his wife and kids, back to normal life, having this thing in his head where he had to kill a man because he was eating another man. So you have to remember that these are people as well. It's not just a big glamorous movie. It's not 28 days later. This happened. It's people's lives. But I'm going to go now.